Today we got Andy Roby's truck here on the lift. We're going to be installing an AirDog 165 4G. So go ahead and step over here and show you what it takes. So first thing, you're going to start out by removing the tank straps so we can begin to lower the fuel tank to change out the fuel module. We're going to modify the internals of the fuel module with our fuel module upgrade. That'll add a 1/2 inch draw straw while still having active basket fill style, so no quarter tank issues will be a problem on this truck.
It makes it a lot easier to access the fuel filler neck and vents and all the lines on top of the tank if you go ahead and actually just drop it down a couple inches before unhooking everything.
So first step to drop in the tank is you're going to want to unhook the filler neck. There's a connection there on the side of the tank, would be the easiest to get to. One thing on these trucks too, 4th and 5th gens, is they have like a vent or rollover valve that is zip tied up there, so you will have to cut that zip tie and route that vent down so you can drop the tank.
Okay, now you guys can see they're dropping the fuel tank. We're going to get that sat on the ground and then take the lock ring around the fuel module loose so we can pull that out and modify it.
So you're going to remove that lock ring. That'll allow you to lift the fuel module up out of the tank itself. Do go slowly because it will be full of fuel, so give it time to drain. Alrighty here. And why we remove this is because with our system, we're actually going to remove this factory pump like we spoke of earlier. And then your factory outlet will become your AirDog return. We went ahead and already done this because we purchased a 19 module previously. So kind of hand this off here. We'll show you what we're talking about. We basically remove that factory pump out of this basket, and then we will add a 1/2 inch draw straw. So you'll still get the basket fill style. You will be asked to add a couple holes into your basket for more fill, but that'll allow for filling so you don't have quarter tank issues, things like that. For more information on the fuel module upgrade, feel free to click this link here. It'll give you a detailed instruction on how to do this process on your fuel module. Alrighty, same thing with reinstallation of it. Make sure that you don't get this fuel center arm caught on anything. So you're going to go ahead and install it. And if you do pay attention, there is actually indications as to how to orient it in the tank. So do verify you do that the correct way. Also make sure to clean and reinstall this O-ring here. It is going to be slightly spring loaded, so you will push it down. Alrighty, we started it by hand. You may need to actually punch it just a little bit to fully tighten it. Alrighty, and we'll go ahead and get this lifted back up in there after we hook our fuel suction line up so we can cut it to length once the AirDog is mounted. One thing you will notice about our mounting hardware is our sandwich bracket that actually will sandwich on either side of the frame rail does have different heights. So go ahead and test fit that on the truck to determine what pump height you would like. The only time you see an AirDog installed on a vehicle is only by customer preference. There's always a way to hide it inside or outside the frame rail at different heights. So we've went ahead and done that now, so we're going to go ahead and assemble this. One thing is that it does come with a spacer block, so do be sure to install that as well.
Due to the limited amount of space on the frame rail, it may be necessary for you to mount the AirDog unit before reinstalling the fuel tank. In this scenario, this is what we had to do, so just make sure you guys go through, check your truck, and make sure you're going to have a spot to mount that AirDog. Now we're actually taking the AirDog pump itself and mounting it onto the mounting bracket. After we do this, we will go ahead and thread the fittings into the pump, and then it will finally get mounted on the truck permanently. The inlet and outlet fittings on the AirDog pump will torque to 120 inch-pounds. The return fitting will torque to 60 inch-pounds. Once your fittings are installed, be sure to mount your AirDog unit on the frame rail. Once again, we need to do this before reinstalling the tank.
Alrighty, we're going to actually start assembling the AirDog hoses themselves. So we're going to go ahead and use some sort of lubricant to lube the hose and fitting up. Right here we actually have ATF, because we're here at Fire Punk, it's readily available. So go ahead and start lubing the interior of this hose, as well as the fitting itself. Now you're going to want to firmly press down all in one action, because if you stop, it does become hard to press the fitting, so just all at once. sink it full to all your barbs. And then we'll go ahead, since we're going to reinstall the tank and let these lines hang, we're just going to put a fitting on each end of the hose and then cut it so we get the desired length when it's actually on the truck. 1/2-inch straight AirDog quick connects to go ahead and quick connect directly on top of the module. And also, since we gutted this fuel module, the old factory pump feed will now become your AirDog return. So we can actually send it directly back to the module using this port. So it's a 3/8 straight quick connect. So go ahead and quick connect that. Then we're going to go ahead and put the tank back up in the truck. Cut these hoses to length as it is easier, with it all mounted. Another thing here is we got our wiring harness. With this wiring harness, we're actually going to tie into the factory truck wiring. So you're going to have one connection that will go to the top of the tank. This will retain your factory fuel sending unit, so you still have the gauge and actuating properly, as well as detonating any power that would go into the tank since that pump is not there. We will actually use that power to trigger our system to come on. So you'll get the factory ECM prime sequence. So when you turn the key on, it'll power the pump for a few seconds, then shut off. Or if you bump the key, I believe it's about 30 seconds, the pump will run. And then constant operation when the vehicle is started. So we'll go ahead and get this stuff all moved around, get this tank back up on the lift, mount it back up in the truck, and we'll get back with you here in a second.
All right, guys, so here you can see he is hooking the factory plug back into the AirDog harness. This will trigger the pump and still read the fuel level. And then directly above that, you can see the factory return line. That'll actually need to go back onto the module so that way the engine can return its fuel. Now we're just hooking the filler neck back up and tightening all that stuff. It is kind of hard to get those angles, guys, so we apologize, but now we're going ahead and tightening up the tank straps on the truck. Just verify you guys tighten all the clamps and everything for the filler neck, the vent, anything you may have to remove to drop that tank. Make sure you guys get that all back nice and snug. This guide will show you where each and every fitting needs to be used whenever you are assembling your AirDog fuel line.
You're going to do always a straight fitting connection on the inlet side of the pump, not to cause any inlet restriction, and a 3/8 90 on the return side. So we're going to go ahead and get that cut, fittings pressed in, and we'll get back with you here in a second. So we're going to go ahead and connect the outlet hose before the return fitting, because if not, they'll hit each other and won't be able to fully seat. So do verify you don't get those mixed up there. Alrighty, so we're assembling the last fitting on the install. This will be going to the factory fuel filter canister on the specific truck.
Okay, now you can see Kevin routing the fuel feed line up to the filter canister.
So we're going to move on down to the AirDog here. We're going to connect the power. So for the power to your AirDog, you're going to use this 2-pin Deutsch connector. This other connector will be for our fuel pressure warning light. For any more information on the fuel pressure warning light, you can get on our website, purefuelairDog.com. But if you do not have it, you will not be using this. It's kind of tight to see in here, guys, but pretty simple. Just a 2-pin connector. Just make sure it's fully clicked and tight, as that is a weather pack style connector, to keep the elements out. So just verify you get a good seat on that. So here's your AirDog relay. This is what's going to turn the AirDog unit on and off. So you're going to go ahead and run this up to the engine bay, where you will have a power and ground that will go to your battery. Constant power, constant ground. So we'll go ahead and get that routed up there.
Now is a great time to use the supplied zip ties to zip tie all of the hoses and AirDog wiring harness away from any hot or moving parts.
Alrighty, so now we're going to go connect the positive and negative to our relay directly on the battery. Obviously verify red goes red, black goes black. I did leave the relay pulled just for safety, so I'm going to go ahead and hook these up. Then we'll put the relay in there and make sure we can energize the system. A good place to clean and nice wrap up this excess harness and hide it. Also need to find somewhere, as you notice on our relay we have a mounting tab, so find somewhere to mount this nice, clean out of the way. Like I said, then we'll go ahead and energize it up and see how everything's going, prime the system, fire the truck up. Alrighty, so we have our test gauge here. So we're going to go ahead and power the system. This truck is on full air, so the air compressor will kick on, so if you do hear some noise, but we're upwards here, we're getting the correct pressure. no issue there. So we're gonna go ahead and get this truck fired up, roll it outside, and take it around the block.
See, that wasn't so bad. For the blink of an eye, we had this AirDog unit installed. He now has air separation, added filtration, and water separation. For the best, buy the best.